What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Friday edition of The Squeeze. I am Tyler Connie. Friday again already. I feel like I say that every time. How does it just be? It seems to always just be Friday, which I guess is not a bad thing necessarily at all. Big weekend coming up. We've got UFC. You've got F1 in Montreal. I'm going to the Ed Sheeran concert on Sunday night. It's Father's Day. Very exciting weekend upcoming and lots of sports to go along with it. We had a 1-0-1 night last night because Tyrell Hatton, will get to that, but that's obviously not a bet that's decided yesterday, although he might have decided it for us yesterday. But we had the two bets in the Stampeders game, and that was a bit frustrating. We had Stampeders -3 in the first half, -6 in the second half for the game. They covered the game easily, so we won that bet, and then they were up 15-1. The interesting thing with CFL rules is if you kick a field goal and you miss, and the other team runs it out, you actually do get a point. So you do get points for missing field goals. So even though Calgary was up 15-1 at one point, it became 15-4, and then with like a minute left, Ottawa returns a punt for a touchdown and questionably converts the 2-point conversion, and that fell on 3. So that was a push, which was a bummer because that would have been right there for us. But it is what it is. Actually, kind of like the same bet. You could make the same bet today on Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, which would be interesting. And then, as I mentioned, Tyrell Hatton, he finished like +5 or 6 and down in the hundreds. So I don't think he's going to finish in the top 20, but you never know. He could have a big game, big round today. But what I did like is, personally, I've got Ricky Fowler +4,500. He broke the scoring record for the U.S. Open. I've got Xander Schauffele at +1,800. He tied Fowler. And I've got Scotty Scheffler +600. So 1, 2, 3 currently. I've also got Finau, Cam Smith, and Brooks Koepka. So in terms of the personal plays, that's not looking too bad, but Tyrell Hatton might take a bite out of that because I only bet, like Ricky Fowler, I bet a fifth of a unit, right? Enough to win 9 units back. So that's kind of how, if you're curious, how I bet golf personally, because it's hard, right? And I learned a long time ago from poker player Daniel Negreanu, it's better to win small than lose big. If you go into this and you're firing, 10 units on 10 golfers and they all lose, like that's 10% of your bankroll right there, right? So I look at it more like, what do I want to win back? So for Ricky Fowler, it was to win 9 units is a 0.2 unit bet, right? So happy with that. If all of my golf bets lose, I lose 2.5 units. Whereas if Fowler were to win, I win 9 units, and it covers a 7 unit profit. So that's how I go about betting golf. Okay, before we get to today's bets, just want to mention this QR code that's on the screen here, or the link below in the description. If you are looking to make any of these bets or sign up for a new sports book, use that QR code, use the link below. Find the book of your choice, make a minimum deposit, and you're guaranteed the best exclusive offers not available anywhere else, exclusive to this code and the link below. And use that. You can make some U.S. Open bets. BetRivers has a lot of good bets. FanDuel's got a lot of good bets. So use that code, sign up for a book, make the minimum deposit. You're going to get the best bonuses. You're going to get the best offers that you're not going to find if you just go and sign up elsewhere. Okay. Today we start back at the U.S. Open. I don't make these plays very often, but we're at a time where there isn't a whole lot to bet aside from baseball. And full disclosure, that's not that I'm great at baseball. It's hard. It's difficult for me to bet on baseball so far in advance. Like if it was 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and you're an hour away from first pitch, I do a lot better betting on baseball then than I do at 10 o'clock the night before or 7 o'clock the morning the next day. So the first bet I have is Corey Connors to have a better round than Adam Scott. This is -119. I got this at BetRivers. You can also get 165 for Corey Connors to have the best round of his pairing. I forget who the third person in the pairing is. It's Connors, Scott, and somebody else. Plus 165 there, which isn't a bad bet either. Corey Connors is currently tied for 38th, and yes, he's Canadian, so I've got there's a little bit of homerism there. He's tied at 38th. He's even par. Obviously, 8 shots back of the leaders, but Fowler and Schauffele had an incredible round. Wyndham Clark, Dustin Johnson as well. So not too worried about that, though. I just needed to have a better round than Adam Scott. He's tied for 38th. He was even on the day. And then you go to Adam Scott, who's tied for 107th. He was +3 on the day. Course is going to play a lot harder today, definitely. The USGA is going to look at that and go, we can't have, -25. This is the US Open. It's got to be hard. And it's going to get hard, I think, in a hurry. But I am okay with that. When you look at round 2 scoring on the season, Corey Connors is up 12 spots over the previous week. He's 71st, and he averages 70.5 strokes per round in the second round. You look at Adam Scott, he is 114th and 71. So a full half stroke difference, which might not seem like a lot, but over, the course of how many holes is this for strokes? It's over like 1,000 strokes, right? So half a stroke per round does make a difference. And then just overall, Corey Connors has just been the better golfer. Corey Connors is currently ranked 29th in the world. Adam Scott is ranked 37th. I think Corey Connors is just a better golfer. I think he's had a better round. He's had a better season this far as well. So I like Corey Connors to have a better round than Adam Scott. At BetRivers, you can get that at minus 119. Also at BetRivers, you can just bet Corey Connors to be the best in his pairing at plus money. So I sprinkled some on that as well to win back a unit. Moving on over to baseball now. We've got the Toronto Blue Jays against the Texas Rangers, and the Blue Jays are pissing me off this year. I don't know what is going on with the Toronto Blue Jays. They're 38-32, which doesn't sound bad, but this is a team that was expected to be battling for the AL East crown. They are not doing that. The Texas Rangers, however, 42-26, despite losing Jacob deGrom, have been good. Blue Jays have lost. They are coming off a loss to Baltimore. They lost the series. They're coming off back-to-back series losses for the first time this season. They lost 2 of 3 to Baltimore. They lost 2 of 3 to Minnesota. They're just not scoring runs. They scored 2. They scored 3, 6, 7, 4, 2. Their offense needs to get it going. But the one person that's been a constant this season for the Blue Jays has been Kevin Gausman on the mound. He was shaky his last time out against Minnesota. He gave up 6 earned runs, 4 walks, which is very unusual for him. He still went into the 5th inning. But previous to that, he'd been great. He'd gone 7 innings, 6 2/3, 5 1/3, 8, 7. He only gave up 3, 4, 5, 6. He only gave up 7 combined runs over his 5 previous starts to his outing against Minnesota. And look, those outings are going to happen, which means I think he's going to bounce back here. He's got a 3.12 ERA, which is best ERA on this season since 2018 when he pitched for Atlanta. He's going up against Martin Perez today for Texas, who's coming off another pretty bad performance of his own. He went 3 1/3, gave up 7 earned to Tampa. Previous to that, he went 7 against St. Louis, but everybody's beating St. Louis. He gave up 6 to Detroit and 4 2/3. He's given up 7 to LA. So he comes into this with a 6-2 record, but he does have a 4.67 ERA. He has been very, very good at home. His away stats has sort of been what's hurt him. But Kevin Gausman's been good on the road, and I think the Jays absolutely have to get a bounce-back game here. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games, and I wanted to take just the straight-up money line here so we have push potential, but the odds are really not in your favor there, so I'm going to make a little bit of a riskier play. I'm taking the Blue Jays minus 0.5, so they have to be leading after 5 innings. That's minus 104 at FanDuel. And our last bet of the day, we're going back to the CFL, and again, we could do the same thing we did yesterday, is take the first half spread and the game spread. Yesterday, I liked it because it was 3 and 6, so it gave us that push potential, which we ended up getting in the first half. For this game with Winnipeg, it's Saskatchewan, it's 3.5 and 6.5, so I'm not going to bother doing that in the first half, but I do think Winnipeg is going to win this game. They're the best team in the CFL. They've been the best team in the CFL. For the last 3 years, they went back-to-back Grey Cups, went to the Grey Cup last year against Toronto, started off strong with a monster 42-30 win over Hamilton last week. The Bombers, they stepped onto the field and sort of right away announced that they want to be just as dominant as ever. Their defense was a little bit shaky, but their offense was lights out. Zach Collaros threw 3 touchdowns and 190 yards in the first quarter. It was an elite performance out of the gate for Winnipeg. Sort of the second half, they let Hamilton get back into it. Maybe a little bit of boredom. And you look at Saskatchewan, they won as well. It was a 17-13 win. That was over Edmonton. Edmonton is, certainly no Hamilton. Hamilton is expected to be one of the better teams in the CFL this year as well. Saskatchewan did only allow 2 sacks, so it was a big win for them. But I just think that the Winnipeg Bluebombers are the best team in the CFL, and until they prove otherwise, unless they're up against a team like BC, Toronto, we just saw what they did to Hamilton. They beat Hamilton by 11 points. BC, Toronto, and Hamilton and Winnipeg, to me, are the 4 best teams in the CFL. They're playing someone on the other side of that, so I'm taking the Winnipeg Bluebombers minus 6.5. That's minus 110 at DraftKings. So again, if you want to make bets at BetRivers, FanDuel, or DraftKings, use the QR code or the link in the description below. Make a minimum deposit, and that's going to guarantee you the best offers and bonuses that you're not going to find anywhere else. So there is our Friday card. I'm taking Corey Connors to be better than Adam Scott in round 2 of the U.S. Open. That's minus 119 at BetRivers. Taking the Toronto Blue Jays to be leading after 5 innings for minus 104 at FanDuel. And I'm taking the Winnipeg Bluebombers to cover 6.5 against Saskatchewan for minus 110 at DraftKings. As always, drop a comment if you're fading or following. You can follow me on Twitter at Tyler Connium for more picks and props throughout the day. TikTok and Instagram if you just want the picks portions, and your audio is on Apple and on Spotify. Have a great Friday. Big weekend coming up, and let's talk sports.